Bam, man. The exclusive, the collaboration, man. Welcome to the His Show. Just one more time with your boy Tony. Stories written by a current prisoner, man. We got an exclusive today with your boy, man. L, man, from A Prisoner's Awakening. L, what's going on, bro? ¿Cómo estás?
What's up with it, Tony? I'm doing good, brother. Can't complain. Got air in my lungs. We're here, like you're saying, doing an exclusive collab with one of the greatest channels on the tube. And, man, I look forward to this, brother, to pushing a positive message. You already know.
Exactly, man. And let me go ahead and reiterate that just one more time, man. And that's exactly what it is that we're here for, man, is to push out that positive message, man. You know, sometimes things might get misconstrued or misconceived or misinterpreted, but for us, we are truly trying to push out that positive message, man. But what's up with you, man? What's cracking, bro? ¿Cómo estás, man? Talk to me.
I'm good, brother. I'm good, bro. Shit, I could ask you the same thing, brother. You know, I hope everything's going good with you and your family, your kids, and obviously, man, I express my best wishes and sentiments to all your viewers, your supporters, and everybody out there that's on here for the right reasons. Meaning, on here to try to keep people out of prison. You know, try to keep the youngsters out of prison. Anybody that's out there making righteous efforts on the ground too. Shout out to all the charities, to all the people that are actually involved with like nonprofits and things like that, man. That's definitely something that to me that I want to get more in detail as far as how to work with these type of organizations. That you already know a lot, man. We do what we can through our channels and spreading a righteous message, bro, you know?
100%, L, man, and I couldn't agree more. As a matter of fact, I myself wanted to find out how I can do more, how I can assist more, you know what I'm saying? How I can help actual people out, man, because those are my next goals, especially in the next few months, man. But with that being said, L, man, you know, as we all know, man, Southern California, all of California has always had generations of gangsters, man. In particular, where you're from, man, the city of Santa Ana. Man, can you kind of give us a little quick layout, man, of how it is in Santa Ana, man? People don't understand, like, literally, there's literally probably like over 30, 40, 50 gangs in just the city of Santa Ana, man. Could you name us a few?
Yeah, it's infested, brother. So I'll start from the one that I used to be active through, and that's Barrio Logan, Logan Park, Logan Street. Not to be confused with the Logan Heights, man. That's another historic actual barrio, like not even the gang aspect of it, but the actual barrio, Logan Heights. And then we got other ones. We got other ones that are historic as well because they have a community center that's named after the street or park, and that's another one is Del High, formerly known as Glorieta way back in the day. And then we have Santa Anita, you know, Santa Anita Park, all that over there on Jackson, on Jackson area. Then we got Artesia, which is what F Troop came out of. And then you get down to your regular gangs. And I'm speaking just Santana, you know. Obviously, there's a lot more neighborhoods in Orange County. But since we are speaking about Santa Ana, I'll limit it to that this time around. And then you got other gangs like Lopers, 6th Street, West Myrtle. You know, I don't really want to. That's just to name a few. I mean, if I left out your neighborhood, don't feel left out because at the end of the day, I'm really not here to glorify any of these gangs. That's just too. Yeah.
You mentioned Artesia. You know,
yeah.
Of course, I know that actually branches off from F Troop. Do you know by chance if that Artesia has a connection with Artesia, the one over there in by Lakewood, by Hawaiian Gardens, by Norwalk, that Artesia?
Yeah, no, absolutely not. It has no relation, no connection to it whatsoever. It's completely different. And then Artesia was it's an actual community. It had a community center, everything from F Troop. And then El Salvador Park ended up being another click off of F Troop. And then, yeah. And a lot of neighborhoods like Southside Santana, a lot of neighborhoods, except for the first three that I named, and some other ones around Orange County, they were clicked up with F Troop, you know, just to give you a brief history. Back in the 70s, maybe a little before that, or somewhere around that decade. Santa Anita, Logan, Del High, those were some of the few neighborhoods that weren't part of F Troop. The rest of the gangs that were in Santa Ana were directly clicked up with F Troop, and then it came a point in time where they all, I guess you could say, quote unquote, rebelled, you know, against the F Troopers, and then they all broke off and created their own, and continued forward as their own street gangs, you know, like the ones that were like 6th Street F Troop, 7th Street F Troop, Southside F Troop, whatever F Troop, right? They finally wanted their autonomy, you know, they wanted their independence, and that's basically what and they ended up doing, you know. So yeah, just to answer your question in detail, no, it has nothing to do with the Chivas. From Matisse, I met a lot of individuals from that neighborhood as well myself. But yeah.
Can you tell me more about your neighborhood, man? You know, how far back do the roots go, man?
Definitely. Yeah, and in the process, if you don't mind, I'll tell you a little history, and then I'll jump into a story. So obviously, before I tell the story, I think it's imperative, even if it is a little reiterated a few times or too many times for some people. I always just want to make this the point that that was my lifestyle before. That's what I used to believe in, and I wholeheartedly believe in something else. And obviously, that's, you know, taking care of our family and try to keep our youngsters out of the system, you know. Whether people do that religiously or not, it is what it is, you know. So my neighborhood, man, my old ex-neighborhood, Logan Park, it started as a Parque Chico Logan. And that started back, see, the community of Logan has been around since the 1800s. Because we actually have a Logan Street, Logan Park, all that, like I said. The actual clique, like the gang aspect of it, started as the Pluggers. That was the first generation, the Pluggers. And that kind of pretty much alluded to the fact, like back then, like, you know, mob days, if you got plugged, you were dead, you know. That's what that derived from. And that was in the 50s, you know, late 40s, early 50s when the clique started. And then eventually my old neighborhood, it almost died out in the 80s, in the early to mid 80s. And a neighborhood that almost dies out in the 80s, that pretty much just speaks to how old it already was to begin with, right? It was already in existence for decades. So this is from what the history that I get from my homeboys. Every neighborhood has their older homies. It gives them the history of the hood as best they could, right? So this is the history that I got that was handed down to me. And what pretty much basically what had happened, by the time the 80s came, a lot of the homies, the homeboys from the plugs, or even like the newer cliques, they were locked up. You know, they were locked up. The streets were kind of empty for a little bit, and then there was these dudes, man, that ended up starting something that was called Logan Boys, right? Because Logan still existed, whether somebody was there or not, they didn't make up the street. You know, the street's always been there. The community, the barrio, the actual barrio, Mexican American barrio, has always been there. You know. So they gravitated towards the Logan Boys, and then one of the older homies, a couple of them ended up getting out, and they was like, what the hell are you talking about, Logan Boys? Man, come over here, man. This is always going to be Logan only, you know? No added preservatives or nothing, you know? So that's pretty much when the Dominoes started, and that's the clique that I was from, the Dominoes from Logan. And those started, from what I understand, in the 80s, you know? But it's always been just one Logan, you know? And that clique is the existing clique to this day, the Dominoes clique. And moving forward into obviously the rest of the 80s and the 90s, man, we were just like any other neighborhood in my city, man. We were freaking, once gunplay really started manifesting in the city, a lot of people were losing their lives, you know. Obviously, we're in the shadow of LA, you know. And the same thing was happening. You know, a lot of people get this misconception that Orange County is glamorous and all they see is the things like from the OC and Laguna Hills and all that. Bro, like, I had never even been outside my city for a very long time. So that's not the part of Orange County I grew up in. And anybody that really knows Orange County, especially Santana, Anaheim, things like that, they know the truth, you know. And obviously, you know, it's not too glorified or nothing. That's just the truth, bro. That's facts, you know. Unfortunate, man. If it were up to me, there would be no gangs, you know. And back then, a very significant event took place, and a lot of people know about this. I'm not telling you something you guys don't already know, but there was a lot of drive-by shootings. A lot of innocent people were getting hurt. The backyard parties was the shit. Me growing up as a kid, that in the 90s, that's what was around, and as a result of that, man, and obviously other ulterior motives with the Mexican mafia, Sana has that epic, legendary image now, standing in the bleachers and, you know, pretty much saying no more drive-bys, you know, issuing a new edict and no more drive-bys. And that's when the drive-bys stopped for the most part. And that's the ethics and the principles that I went hard gangbanging in. No drive-bys. If you wanted to shoot somebody, you had to get off the car, run up on them, so no more innocent lives were lost, right? So that's just a brief history as far as my neighborhood and how it came into the 90s, under what circumstances and things like that, you know. So going into my neighborhood, as far as my neighborhood, this is a story that is very old in time. As far as it started evolving in the late 90s when I first started, and into the early thousands, you know. And so we had this homeboy. I'm going to say his name was M. You know, his name was M. Obviously, just to withhold from his full name, because what really matters here is not the details of the names, but the moral of the story and the lesson behind it. So this dude M was from the Domino's, and you know, he was with the business, man. He was known in the neighborhood, putting in work with a lot of the homies that I consider older homeboys, and he was doing his thing, you know. And in doing so, he started slaying. He started making a lot of money, a lot of dope money, you know. And you know, as you guys know, sometimes when making dope money, you start making a lot of money, and it starts getting to your head. And this is just my opinion of situations that happen, you know. So this dude was putting in work, doing all kinds of stuff, and because he was making a lot of money, he ended up getting snatched up by the cops, right? For a murder that he had either been there for or participated in, you know. And so when that happened, he was faced with a decision, and the decision was tell on his homie that was doing the thing, that did the murder. Hey, Tony.
Yes, sir.
And so pretty much the cops, bro, the cops approached M and basically let him know, like, hey, check this out. We got information on this murder. Pretty much you're going to go away with this dude and let's cooperate. And this is the type of dude, man. This is at a time where SNYRs were damn near unheard of, you know. Dudes that were really ratting in their neighborhood snitching was almost unheard of, you know. You had heard big cases like in the mob or something. It was rare, you know. And this is the type of individual. He was of the caliber. He was a killer, you know. He was with the business. Every meeting that we used to go to, then dude used to get freaking, when they used to get active, he was up in the mix, you know, getting down with homies or anybody needed to get jumped in or checked, whatnot. He was up in the mix like all of us, right? So the caliber of his gangbanging status was not even questionable, you know. And so the reason I say this is because unbeknownst to any of us, we didn't know any of this. We didn't know that he had gotten approached for a certain case, for him to tell whatnot, you know. But look, like I said, he was making a lot of money at this time, you know. At the same time, before all this happened, this who starts blowing up. He like legitimately starts moving weight, kilos, pounds. He's rolling around in an Escalade, you know. He's making a lot of money, and he's sewing up the homies. And me at the time, personally, I was a 15-year-old kid rolling around with him. And just to give you a little quick side note, we went to this house. He kind of embraced me. And we went to this house, and he goes in and comes back out, and he hands me a big cup, like a styrofoam cup from one of those taco places, like the extra large drinks. And I grab it, and it seemed heavy, and I was like, hey, can I take a sip? And he starts laughing. And he's like, I wouldn't take a sip if I were you. And then I looked at the cup, and he's like, check it out. I opened it. He had handed me at least a kilo of Coke, you know, and allegedly, right? So at the time, I remember thinking, like, damn, like, this is how you're doing it, you know? So this dude, after that day, that's pretty much how I knew on what level he was functioning, right? So we started hearing rumors. Like a couple of years after that, I ended up getting locked up. I did another year in juvenile hall. Went in there with a couple of months. Ended up maxing out because of all my fights, gangbanging. So I get out. And when I get out this time, we start hearing little rumors about how the homie that ended up getting convicted for a murder that the M was involved in with him. He starts saying that he has paperwork on him. And everybody's, at first it was just a little like trickles of whispers, but it started getting louder and louder and louder. And obviously everybody knows. Anybody could say anything about anybody in this world, but back in the day, and even now it should be in place. Unless you have that black and white, unless you have paperwork, nowadays, dudes probably don't even get in trouble no more. It's watered down. But back then, if you opened up your mouth about somebody being a rat and you didn't have paperwork, man, it wasn't going to go very well for you, because at this point, you're crossing somebody up. You're putting somebody's life in danger, you know? So that's why it was imperative for you to have paperwork and have something to show to be able to back up such accusations. Because those accusations weren't going to be taken lightly, man. You're going to lose your life over that. So that's what the homie said. Where's the paperwork? Okay, cool. All the homies are like, nah, hell no, not him. Hell no, what the fuck? And me, myself included, I was like, hell no, this was a big shot, bro. Like, this was like, you know, aside from him pushing weight and being with the functions and all that, nah, hell no, not him, you know. And keep in mind, like I said, back in the day, there wasn't a lot of dudes telling, you know, so it was rare. It was unfathomable for us. So nothing was done because no paperwork was shot down. And the issue arose again. And now this time we're talking about the year 2001 going into 2002. And finally, everybody it came to a head, right? The issue came to a head, and we all called a meeting, and we got together right there on Spurgeon. And that's one of our main streets in our neighborhood. We got right there on Spurgeon, and it was pretty much to get together to resolve this once and for all. Pretty much the homie that had the paperwork was supposed to show up with the paperwork to pretty much see if this was real or not, you know? And the issue with this was this. This dude is related to about 4 to 5 of the key figures of my neighborhood at that time, you know? And at the time, like I said, I was a youngster, man. I was just observing pretty much, you know? I was putting in work for the neighborhood and all that shit. But they were the ones that had been from the neighborhood for years, bro. They were the dominoes, too, you know? They were there before me. So it was pretty much stay out of this, none of my business to a certain extent, because all these dudes are related to each other. They're either primos or brothers or whatnot, right? So there's blood involved in this. And nobody's going to want to admit or throw their cousin out there or their primo or their brother to the wolves and agree that he's a snitch, you know? Are you going to American knee a motherfucker, you know? You're going to American knee someone and kill him if they're a rat and in your blood? So this is what we were dealing with. This dude was related to a lot of homies, you know? So but a rat is a rat. And if the paperwork's there, we all know what we had to do, family or not. It was still around those times, there was still some actual omerta, some actual code left. And that was the last of the days, in my opinion. So we finally meet up, you know. Half the neighborhood is on this side, half the neighborhood is on that side. The ones that are for him and the other ones that are pretty much like want to see the paperwork, you know. They want to see the paperwork. They ain't taking sides. They're going to do what's right, and that's that. So the homie ends up, my homeboy F, I'll call him F. You know, this dude, he's always been respected in the neighborhood, man. It's somebody that when I started, he was one of the key figures that, you know, kind of like guiding me along the neighborhood, man. I always have respect for this dude. So he's the one that was going to confront M on this. And he hands me, you know, obviously allegedly, he hands me, as far as the story goes, he hands me a couple of things, and he takes one of them and he goes talk to the homie. And his whole plan was, obviously, he was going to tell him, hey, I got the paperwork, you know, this and that. But in reality, we had no paperwork yet. So the homies finally like, you know what, this is causing so much rift in the barrio. Motherfuckers are starting to go at it. You know, we got to, and F was one of those that he wasn't on either side. He was on the side of if this was a snitch, he's a snitch. If he's not, he's not. Let's push this to arrest. So he takes him inside the laundromat, bro. And when he takes him in there, his strategy was this. Pretty much like, hey, bro, this is what he told him. I just jumped into what he told him. And this is how the story goes. And so he goes in there and he's like, hey, bro, why'd you do it, bro? Why'd you do it? I'm gonna try to hold off on this information because I've known you for a long time, and I'm gonna try to give you a chance for you to, you know, to get out of here, bro. But why'd you do it, dog? I just read the paperwork, dog. Why'd you tell on this dude, man? And his strategy behind this, keep in mind, he had no paperwork. And his strategy was to bluff him out, pretty much. Anybody that knows that's fake and that he didn't snitch is going to be like, fuck no, that's not me. Hell no, you got me fucked up. What paperwork, dog? You know? And if you do it, well, you did it, right? So F told me this after. He's like, hey, bro, I didn't think that this dude was going to respond the way he did. He firmly believed that he didn't do so, you know? But what did he do? What did M answer? He's like, hey, F, hey, bro, I didn't know what to do. You know, I wasn't trying to go away for life. You know, I had to, bro. I had to do it for my family. And he started breaking it down. And F was pretty much like, what the hell? Like, he was surprised. He was shocked. He didn't want to believe it from that dude anymore than I didn't want to believe it. And most of the homies didn't want to believe it, you know? But we had another solid homie doing life or doing a very long time in prison that was saying otherwise, you know? This is a homeboy too. And he was saying that he had the paperwork, you know? So we had to address this. And so, yeah, this dude pretty much tells him, stay right here. And then he starts running towards me. He opens the gate, starts running towards me to get one of them things so he can handle business. And he told the homies, hold on to him. Well, obviously, some of the homies that he told to hold on to were related to this dude. So they didn't hold on to him. They let him go, you know. And obviously, they don't know what's going on. All they know is that F is fucking running out of the damn fucking laundromat, pissed, running towards me. And the reason that I had the things is because I was one of the youngest ones there, if not the youngest. And by that time he was able to get to me, this one was gone in his car. And one of my other homeboys had left quick to his pad to go get something. So he actually comes back within a few minutes after this, and he runs across the street, and he's like, where's he at? And, so-and-so let him get away. So what does this dude do? He rushes one of the homies to let him get away, and then the other homie jumps in, and before we know it, man, we have a whole fucking melee going on. And this is my homeboys. We're all from the same clique. We're all from the same hood, and this shit starts cracking up, you know? And my point with the story is, okay, so that pretty much split the neighborhood in half. You know, this dude had the power to inflict so much damage on a neighborhood, you know, that we're the oldest neighborhood in Santana, us and Delhi, shortly by Santana and other neighborhoods, right? And a historic neighborhood, a righteous neighborhood, our neighborhood has always had nothing but respect in the county, prison, everything between the senor and everything, especially with Sana. And so for this dude to have inflicted so much damage amongst ourselves pretty much tells you the caliber he had been at one point and the things that he was doing at that point. Because a lot of the homies, man, were on his jock, man, because he was making a lot of money, and he was a huge name in the neighborhood, you know. So everybody was shocked, nobody could believe it, and it was one of those infamous. This is one of the most, if not the most infamous shit that ever happened in my hood. And those of you that are out there that are dominoes, you guys know what I'm talking about. Not a lot of us were there. I was there that night. A lot of my homies were doing time. They were locked up, but they all heard about it, and they were all tripping out like, what the fuck happened? You know, they would have done a lot to be able to be a fly on the wall around that street that night, you know. But I was there when this shit went down, and this individual, obviously, man, later on, ended up being true. The paperwork came out. He ended up testifying a homeboy, and a homie was trying to push that fucking paperwork for so long, and that left a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of the homies, and it was never the same. You know, after that, it was never the same amongst the hood. I mean, obviously, newer homeboys started becoming from the dominoes and all that, and it became a forgotten issue, or just became a legend in the neighborhood, and then they went on to bang and do their thing and whatnot. But that was part of my generation at the time, and my point with this is for anybody out there listening, the youngsters, man, and a lot of homies that you know that you've had similar things happen in your hood, you know. You know that your own homeboys are the ones that hate on you for the most part, you know, and you know that you've had homeboys turn on you and told on you, either for the love of the money or because they didn't want to get time or both or over a hyena or over whatever. Doesn't matter. There's some motherfuckers out there trying to take your girl while you're locked up, you know, your own homeboys. That's no love right there, man. And this is not to say that there ain't no, like, righteous love in between homies, because I know I'll be lying if I said that I didn't have some righteous homeboys that looked out and put money in my books, that looked out and wrote me a letter, that looked out for my girl instead of trying to get at my girl. But there is the bad as well, you know, and that's more prevalent than the righteous homies, you know. And at the end of the day, being part of a street or a barrio that you do not own, you know it deep down in your heart, posting up, dying for a street that you're never going to own, that, you know, that what kind of power do we really have? Well, we're sitting there on the curb, and at any given moment, the cops could just come and take us away. Look at those injunctions that they put down. Come on, dog. Are we really powerful Sureños? Are we really powerful gang members? And how weak are we that they could just snatch us up and put us in jail? We're killing each other, and then they're just getting rid of us by locking us up for hurting our own brown brothers, and then trying to claim like that's our barrio, that's our street. Those ain't our streets, bro. You know, I love my neighborhood, man. At one point, I loved my neighborhood, and, you know, I believed fervently in what I used to push and preach, you know. And while I did it to the best of my ability, and I had good memories, and I had good camaradas. But once you know better, you know better. And once I knew better, obviously. And I stopped with the bullshit. And I opened up my eyes eventually. It was the cold reality, but, hey, it happens, man. That's what happens with maturity, when wisdom kicks in. And for any youngster out there still gangbanging, you know, or just freshly in the hood, and you're trying to look for role models or something to believe in or anything like that, I get it, man. One of the hardest things for me to kick was not only drugs, but the neighborhood, the status, the fame, the girls, the money, you know. Anytime the homies will get out, oh, the homies just got out of state prison, oh, the homies just got out of YA, or the homies just got out of the halls. That's the homie right there. That's what with the business. That little adoration, the admiration you get from that's just addictive. You know, it's no different than being a fucking football player and you score a touchdown and you're with the business and you're a fucking solid ass sportsman and everybody giving you the adoration. Same parallels, same type of comparison. You know, and that's what you get addicted to, and that's what you just can't seem to let go sometimes. So all youngsters out there listening, trust me, I get you, man. I was once there. But look, bro, I know I may sound like a broken record, but you know what? I'll keep saying it. You know, there's better ways. There's better ways to get admiration, you know, go to school, graduate, get a college degree, you know, start making some money, build your own little castle, pursue that American dream, you know, and hold your head up high as when you know you're taking care of your family and you see what real legacy you're leaving behind through your children, you know, through whatever spouse, you know, through your nieces, nephews, cousins, whatever it may be, especially your parents, you know. I lost my mom when I was in there, you know, in 2016. All I wanted to do was get out and help her, but I was stuck doing 15 years in prison, you know. And that's my main point in the moral to this story is that breaking those neighborhood bonds are extremely hard, but you can do it, you know, especially when you guys know out there's a hell of contradictions in the barrio, and there's way more different things out there that we could be doing. That's pretty much it, Tony.
Hey, bro, you know what, bro? That was one hell of a story right there, man. Very interesting, man. And like you said, man, I'm sure this has happened literally over 100, 200, 1,000 times, man. It's been happening all over, man. I just want to go ahead, man. For anybody out there that hasn't checked out the homie's channel, or Prisoners Awakening, trust me, you want to check it out, man. He is, and not only that, he puts in a lot of work on that channel, man. He literally posts 2 or 3 videos a day. He's on there going live daily, man. He's out there going hard, man. So please check it out, A Prisoner's Awakening, man. And as always, man, thank you for coming on the show, bro.
Always, brother. You already know, man. Anything that furthers the righteous message to try to keep even our real offenders, you already know, out of the system, brother. Because you know what, bro? We need to start having more role models, dogs, against that type of lifestyle. And no disrespect to the dudes that are active and doing their thing, man. Whatever you believe in and whatever you want to push that makes you happy, hey, more power to you. But hey, this is what I believe in now, and I'm going to speak my truth, and that's just what it is. But thank you for having me, Tony. Stories written by current prisoner, isolated my shout out from an APA family, the Prisoners Awakening family, man. Go subscribe, guys. Trust me, man. You won't be disappointed. Everything comes from the heart, and it's reality, man. All right, Tony.
Man, that was another exclusive, man. That was another exclusive collaboration, man. Hit that like for your boy real quick.